So, just to start off, what is your reaction initially to the news of this research that scientists and a trainer in France have taught an orca to mimic human speech?
I don't think it's novel, and I don't really consider it science. This is a case study done with a particular whale. We trained an animal named Shadow, a beluga whale, back in 1990 to do the same thing using wolf whistles and other human sounds that he would mimic. In fact, in some cases it became problematic because the other whales learned how to do it just by copying him, and when one would whistle, they'd all start whistling. And we could do like the wow wow or the wow wow. We could change the sounds and they would mimic them. And I just think it makes a good case for these animals really not being in captivity, just showing their auditory senses.
Okay. And do you think there's any case for, I mean, obviously, because of this research, we possibly know a little bit more about how they communicate out in the wild. Is there a case for, conducting research like this in captivity so that we learn more about the species and can maybe help protect them in the wild?
Most of the research done in captivity is intended to keep whales in captivity. I think that this is an opportunity for Marineland Antibes to say, hey, we did a study, but the study really doesn't help wild killer whales at all. In fact, orcas or beluga whales mimicking human sounds is not even novel. But, in argument for what they've done, it is getting worldwide attention, and that's why we're talking right now. But I don't think it does anything to help wild whales or bring us any closer to understanding how whales communicate in the wild. This is just kind of like what I'd call a publicity stunt.
Okay, and in terms of us not learning anything new, I mean, it is being, pushed as something as kind of,
Right.
the first time we've seen this. Can you explain why that is?
Yeah, well, I just told you it's nothing new. These animals mimic each other all the time, and they have been known to mimic human sounds in captivity for a long time. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, we had a whole stadium of both beluga whales and false killer whales that would not only mimic us, but they learned to mimic each other, and they would do it in an attempt to get a food reward. So, this is a reinforced behavior. It's not communication. I don't think anything wrong with it from an ethical standpoint. It's not like they're taking human language. It's just something to show people that they can do, but this idea is not new, is basically what I'm saying.
Okay, so are you saying basically there's never ever a case, there's never a justification for an animal like this to be in captivity for, kind of research purposes?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying animals that need to be rehabilitated should be brought into captivity and should be given medical attention. I'm saying this type of study, this type of case study does not justify keeping those killer whales in captivity, and my hunch is that that's why this is being publicized as an effort for the industry to say, hey, look, we're doing some research. But this isn't really, this is a simple case study, and it doesn't generalize or help wild killer whales in any way that I can think of. Can you?
I guess what some of the kind of marine mammal experts we've spoken to today have said, well, captivity is not ideal. If orcas or killer whales are in captivity, then maybe it's better that we do use them for research purposes.
Right. My contention is that this isn't really research that helps wild killer whales, so that kind of eliminates that argument, if that makes sense. I mean, the whale shouldn't be in captivity. If one gets injured and they can do like Lori Marino's mirror studies that she did for an animal to recognize itself as being self-aware, I think those things are important. But this is just kind of what I would classify as an opportunity for the industry to say, hey, look at what we're doing, and get worldwide attention, where I think the real attention needs to be on, for example, getting these animals to oceanic sea pens, and where studies can still be done, and the animals would have a lot more room.
So do you think there's a danger then? Is this a kind of a relationship that you would frown upon at places, theme parks like Marine World, Marineland, working with scientists on research? Is it kind of a fraught relationship?
No, I think that they should do more research. I just don't put this into the category of research that helps wild killer whales or research that tells us anything new, if that makes sense. I mean, how does it help?
Yeah.
How does it help the southern resident animals in the Pacific Northwest of the United States get more salmon, for example? How does it help us understand killer whale dialects or language? It doesn't. This is the equivalent of somebody walking up to a parrot and making a noise and the parrot repeating that noise. doesn't teach us anything about wild killer whales, and so that's my criticism of what they're publicizing here.
Well, one of the researchers did speak to us today, and they said that one of the things that has taught them, or that has showed them possibly, is how they have passed their dialects on from one generation to another, or that it might give them some insight into that, which I guess is something that they would learn. And what they hope to look at next is memory. So, I mean, overall, I suppose it educates us in one sense and tells us a bit more about the species. Is that something you'd agree with?
Killer whales are known to have culture that is already passed down, and this is known. I mean, look at the northern resident killer whales that go to a rubbing beach everywhere, or these animals using tools, or these animals, attacking bait balls of herring in a particular way. These animals are already known to pass down culture. The fact that they can mimic a human noise, a human saying hello, or in our case, a beluga whale mimicking a wolf whistle, does not generalize to the wild populations, nor does it tell us anything new. So that's my criticism of the study. Is it fascinating? Yes, it's fascinating, but it's just, a way to bring people back into captivity, or to justify captivity per se, and that's where I disagree.